Systems run the businesses, and people run the systems. We all had various obligations and positions in the community in which we live. Based on our responsibilities as citizens, we have limitations, freedom, and priorities. We live in a place that is organized and managed by a system that lays down the rules, laws, and duties that we must adhere to. Today, we will explore the concepts and principles and bureaucratic authority, application of Weber's model of bureaucracy, and its applications on school as a bureaucratic organization.
The model of bureaucratic administration may be traced all the way back to Egypt, China, India, and Rome. It is recognized for its intense concern, official organization, as well as its strict adherence to regulations, official techniques, and purely procedural characteristics. However, it was developed in theory by Max Weber to look like a silent machine that works on a regular basis with precise coordination and mechanics that overlooks human nature, human considerations, and many values based on creativity and individual freedom. With that, let us know first who is Max Weber and his classical bureaucracy theory.
Max Weber, a German sociologist, defined bureaucracy as highly ordered, formalized, and impersonal entity. He also came to believe that an organization must have a stable hierarchical structures as well as defined rules, laws, and lines of authority to govern.
Weber wanted to know why certain countries were successful with industrial capitalism while others are not. Large-scale organizations such as industries and government departments, he felt, were a feature of capitalist economies. As a result, supervisors were dissatisfied with the organization. Rather than meeting organizational goals, organizational resources were exploited to benefit owners and management.
Weber believed that organization based on rational authority, in which authority was delegated to the most competent and qualified people, would be more efficient than those based on who you knew. This form of rational organization was termed a bureaucracy by Weber. Max Weber was fascinated enough to the study of hierarchical organization, and he identified 6 fundamental characteristics of a perfect bureaucracy: hierarchical authority, job specialization, formal selection, rules and regulation, impersonal relationship, and career orientation. He claims that regardless of the types of association, whether open or private, it will be exhibit identical characteristic.
Hierarchical authority. Hierarchy is a structure in which several positions are associated in order of precedence, with the top rung of the ladder processing the power. Each level influences the ones below it while influencing the level above it. Each position's authority and responsibilities are clearly stated. There are various hierarchical ranks in the bureaucracy. and this is essentially a bureaucracy's trademark and foundations. This hierarchy depicts communication, channels, and delegation levels, and as well as the division of authorities and their responsibilities.
Job specialization. There isn't any nepotism and bureaucracy. It means employees are chosen and promoted based on their experience, competence, and technical qualification, which can be shown through exam, schooling, or training. Work is divided into specialization, and such, each employee is changed of what he or she does best and understand exactly of what is expected of them. Every employee is aware of his or her authority in the company. In a bureaucracy, going above and beyond your obligations and taking on the task of others is not tolerated. Formal selection. All personnel are hired based on their technical skills and abilities, which they have gained through education, experience, and rigorous testing. One of the fundamental ideas is that employees be compensated for their services, with the amount of the compensation varying according to their position. Their contract conditions are set by organizational rules and requirements, and they do not hold any stock in the company.
Rules and regulation. No one is unique, and in order to achieve uniformity, formal rules and regulation must be in place so that the staff know exactly what is expected of them. The rules and requirements can be deemed predictably in this sense. The official regulations define all administrative procedures. The regulations and standards are more or less consistent, and they are always documented in official reports. If new regulations and requirements are implemented, top management or directors are in charge.
And personal relationship. Bureaucracies are notorious for their impersonal relationship. It means that everyone is subjected to the same set of rules. There is no partiality or preferential treatment. Employees form distant and impersonal relationship as a result of regulations and defined rules, with the added benefit of eliminating nepotism or outsider or political participation. Rather than relying on personal variables, decisions are made completely on the basis of intellectual considerations.
Career orientation. Devotion is to the work and not to the person sitting above hierarchy. The right division of labor is also allows employees to specialize themselves further so that they may become expert in their own field and significantly improve their performance. As a result, it offers long-term working opportunity.
With these principles and characteristics of Max Weber bureaucracy, it was known as the most fundamental contribution to scientific management theory. Weber's bureaucracy theory has been widely explained in the era of the 1900s by the business entities, government organizations, and political associations. Let's hear and understand the different point of views in the Max Weber bureaucracy across other people.
Specialization or expertise. Tasks are divided into simple, routine categories on the basis of competences and functional specializations. Every employee is responsible for what he or she does best and knows exactly what is expected of him or her. By dividing work on the basis of specialization, the organization directly benefits. Each department has specific powers. As a result, there is a delineation of tasks and managers can approach their employees more easily when they do not stick to their tasks. Every employee knows exactly what is expected of him or her and what his or her powers are within the organization. Every employee has a specific place within the organization and is expected to solely focus on his or her area of expertise. Beyond your responsibilities and taking on tasks of colleagues is not permitted within a bureaucracy. Predictability. When there is a systematic hierarchy and defined rules and methods of performing the complicated task in the organization, actions in similar situations become somewhat predictable for the management. This provides a sense of security and instills trust in management at the workplace. It generates well-being because the employees know their work situation.
Rationality. Feelings and emotions are replaced with rational calculations and a system based solely on efficiency, rational and practical control. It is a state of being rational that is being based on or agreeable reason and evaluate each choice against the others. Example, the present university president spends more time thinking about the university goal and future development than the past events. It is because rational thinkers always objective and are progress-oriented. Skill-based recruitment. It is a formal selection with employees and basis whom to be accepted with their given technical skills and competencies which have been acquired through trainings, education, and experiences that truly fits for the open position. They will not choose you if you are not competent enough for that position, to give chances to individual who's best qualified. Example, Capiz State University is hiring an electric technician in certain office. A fresh graduate electrical engineering student, an 8-year-old experienced man, wants to apply. So basically, the university will accept the 8 years experienced man in getting the position because his skills in fixing the electric stuff has been developed over the years of his experience abroad.
Another advantage of Weberian bureaucracy is the systematic record keeping. This approach is responsible for the efficient and systematic control of the creation, receipt, maintenance, use, and disposition of records, including processes for capturing and maintaining evidence of and information about business activities and transactions in the form of records to be used by the other employees in the future. We all know that education curriculum evolved from saber-tooth curriculum, which refers to a type of curriculum that existed during ancient times and whose primary goal was survival. When the consequences of discoveries and innovations became unavoidable, however, ancient people's manner of life improved. Education became more formal as a result, and curriculum development became more systematic, organized, deliberate, and progressive. We all rely on information to help us work effectively and to build the knowledge for ourselves and the organization. Records management is the efficient and systematic control of the creation, receipt, maintenance, use, and disposition of records. Records management is the process of identifying and protecting evidence which comes in the form of records.
In a bureaucratic organization, the management remains unbiased towards the employees and ensure judgment at the time of any issue or problem of organization. Overall, it discourages favoritism. In bureaucracy that is run successfully, the impersonal nature of the relationship that are formed create unique advantages. So it creates a structure where equality is the point of emphasis. Today, on what are the characteristics of bureaucracy's fairness among bureaucratic process is important because it reduces discrimination by treating each individual in a similar manner. So some rules and punishment applies to everyone despite their position and status. Colleges and universities and an insurance company, for example, may embrace this organizational structure to ensure its employees comply with customer data protection laws, rely on standardized policies and procedures to maintain control and uniformity. On the other hand, because of mechanized nature of bureaucracy, organization, or governmental structures that have policies and procedures in place, it can be easily merged, and especially when overall mission is similar.
Weber believed that bureaucracy would produce the most efficiency, regionality, and worker satisfaction. Indeed, he believed bureaucracy was so legal that it would revolutionize society as a whole. Unfortunately, Weber overlooked the possibility that each of the bureaucratic features could have a detrimental impact.
When we talk about bureaucratic management, there are numerous drawbacks of purely adopting this theory to run any organization. Let us now elaborate over each of such shortcomings. One of the disadvantages of bureaucratic management is one-way communication. In a bureaucratic management system, information goes from top-level management to lower-level management in the form of rules, regulation, duties, and position. However, employees are not asked for feedback on operational concern or other suggestion. For an example, in a company, when workers don't have the ability to share insights or feedback, they may feel stifled, inhibited, and unappreciated, which damage employee morale. When management doesn't communicate goals and important events with workers, employees naturally begin to think key information is being withheld. It limits the closeness of relationship and employees' engagement. It contributes to lack of organizational commitment, poor morale, and eventually turnover. Yes, the top-down communication is necessary, but with no direction, the role of departments and individual workers is uncertain. Top-level managers may provide one-directional message today, but deliver a completely different vision a few months later. When employees don't know what to work on or prioritize each day, chaos will arise and ineffective communication or customer interaction will arise. It will also result to delay in business decision making because the top-level management retains the power of decision making. As a result, even if the event of an emergency or a crisis requiring quick action, lower-level managers must rely on top-level managers. When things need to be done or develop, change or alternative ways to respond to problems are recognized in the educational system. There may be significantly delay since the decision will be made at the top and will be analyzed and examined for any consideration before being approved or applied in the work or in the company. For an example, in the midst of pandemics and the implementation of the new normal education, there are a variety of problems from parents and students. Even if teachers and other school personnel had taken the initiative to take on responsibility, they are unable to respond quickly to the various problems because they rely on authorized people with more power who cater to major decision making, and it is beyond to their responsibility. Due to the process of deferred decision making, this also results in unresponsive and unresolved problems.
Another disadvantage is hinders innovation and creativity. When the superior controls every activity of the employee and restrict them to apply creativity and innovation to their work, this may lead to lack of resource or capacity to new ideas and process that would happen. The barrier to creativity and innovation becomes active at an early age. Main reason for this is having lack of leadership and being fair to the new idea is often manifested as criticism and sometimes harsh judgment. Employees who have ideas are reluctant to share because they worry that no one will like the idea, or they are afraid or ridicule or the implications of possible failure.
Bureaucracy involves excessive paperwork as every decision must be put into writing. All documents have to be maintained in their draft and original forms. This leads to a great wastage of time, stationery, and space. In order to have a perfect final structure outcome, you have to apply trial and error, where there would be an excessive waste of paperwork because of some circumstances like changes of plan, new ideas, additional informations, new rules, and etc., where you have to remake the bureaucracy to make it perfect and will finalize.
Bureaucracy is inflexible and has a rigid methods. We should be more open for changes. The world is constantly changing and we meet different individuals with different attitudes, personality, and perspective. Not everyone can adjust on what is said, and not all the issues, problems, or challenges are the same at all. So that's why we have to be flexible and more adaptable to new things coming on the way ahead. If we desire to have an efficient and more effective organization, we should look up on what is the best for everyone. Why we should settle for the standard ways when we can do more than that? Just for example, in a traditional classroom settings, there are a variety of learners, but the teachers use only a fixed method of teaching, without knowing that the learners doesn't learn in the same way and in the same day. My point is that it is not a shoe-fits-all process, because students who have learning gaps cannot cope up the way their other classmates did. So if we are going to be flexible, issues, problems, or challenges can be addressed on what specific ways they can be solved. There is nothing wrong for trying and adapting new things that you can know that can be better for all. I believe that I don't see any reason why we should hold back in trying new systems.
One of bureaucracy's disadvantage is exploitation of powers. There is a chance that members are treated like machines and not like individuals. There is a negligence of human factors. Inappropriate use of power can be found in instances where a leader uses a position of authority to reward or reprimand someone in a lower standing position based on not on merit but on personal feelings. For example, giving a choice assignment or task to a close staff or teacher rather than creating a measurement system that examines the qualification and expertise of various applicants is an example of inappropriate reward. Giving an individual a poor performance review based on personal dislike rather than accurate performance measurement is an example of misuse power of punishment. People in bureaucracy tend to use their position and resources to perpetuate self-interest. Every superior tries to increase the number of his subordinates as if this number is considered a symbol of power and prestige.
With these thoughts, bureaucratization of major systems is unquestionably reasonable. In a complicated society, and school bureaucracy is no exception in this rule. Teachers, students, administrators, parents, citizens, reforms and policymakers have long railed against it as a barrier between them and the kind of school they want and need.
Accordingly, schools are characterized by the rules controlling and directing students' and teachers' behavior, as well as the standard procedures shaping organizational behavior.
In a bureaucratic school structure, the authority is generally concentrated at the top management, and information usually flows from top to down, encouraging a school culture focused on control and command, where operational processes are rigidly controlled and closely supervised.
Both positive and significant relationships have been found between bureaucratic school structures and organizational citizenship. Teacher professionalism, academic optimism, and teachers' academic optimism.
A considerable number of the studies have addressed bureaucratic school structures by employing classification of bureaucratic organizational structure. With this in mind, the present study also employed classification concerning bureaucratic organizational structure, formalization, and centralization.
Formalization refers to the management of organizations through written rules, regulations, and procedures. The organization rules in coercive formalization reinforce employee compliance behavior, punish those who do not abide by the rules, and closely control employee behavior. Formalization assists in encouraging employee collaboration in organizational process and creates a working environment based on mutual trust and respect. While centralization in bureaucratic organization refers to how organizational decisions are made and to what degree employees have a say in decision-making processes. There are two types of centralization in bureaucratic organization: hindering and enabling.
Hindering centralization refers to an organizational structure where innovative employee behavior is hindered. Administrators control the employee's behavior to ensure discipline, uncertainty, and differences are not accepted, and compliance behavior are in the foreground. Enabling centralizations, on the other hand, is characterized by an organizational administration which provide employees with the autonomy they need, and organizational management which assists employees to solve problems and conflicts, and employees who participate in decision-making processes and effectively collaborate and cooperate with their colleagues.
Since schools are bureaucratic organizations, rules, regulation, procedures, and hierarchical structure are the main elements of school structure. Teachers in enabling school structures collaborate to improve the school teaching quality, resulting in better student achievement and more effective teaching practice design. In addition, principals in such schools make things easier for teachers, support their professionalism improvement, and include teachers in decision-making process.
To summarize, understanding the above characteristics of organization, as well as the reality of modern world bureaucracy, it appears to be difficult to fully apply the characteristics of Weber bureaucratic style.
Excessive paperwork, lethargy, unresponsiveness, and inflexibility are all linked to it. This is regrettable because Weber's ideas have influenced the way business are run and structures throughout the industrial world. Your school is most likely organized like a bureaucracy. It's a bureaucracy if you ever shopped at a department store, and it's also a bureaucracy if you dealt with a local administration.
Despite from several drawbacks, bureaucracy is still the dominant style of the governments in big businesses today. The pyramid of organizational structure is built on bureaucratic principles, with responsibility divided into divisions, departments, and teams. Even so, it is evident in the management of civil departments, political groups, government organization, and academic association.
The recuperative bureaucracy is necessary to address current challenges without compromising the standards of perfect administration. In today's world, bureaucracies are numerous and differ from one another, making it difficult to adopt a classic administrative style like Weber's. Some of those traits, however, may still be applicable because all of the companies and groups, no matter how varied they are, must adopt a well-organized management in order to work well.